Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas is a member of the House of Representatives and of the Out of Poverty Caucus. As such, she is dedicated to upholding the constitutional rights of the people. During Congresswoman Jackson Lee's tenure in Congress, she has served on various committees, including Foreign Affairs, Homeland Security, and the Judiciary. She is a founder, member, and co-chair of the Congressional Children's Caucus, and I couldn't resist this one. And she's been hailed by Ebony Magazine as one of the 100 most fascinating Black women. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think Congresswoman Lee and I can call each other twins from different mothers, if you will. And I admire her work and her leadership. And I'm delighted to be able to host this great group talking about some very vital issues. Let me acknowledge Bobby. It's good to see you. Your former member is on the floor doing great work, honoring Lyndon Baines Johnson and pushing away, leaving no child behind, and coming to a more realistic way of dealing with our children. And through his leadership, and certainly the ranking member, Marsha Fudge, we will be able to go to the floor and kick Leave No Child aside as where it should be, and run toward a fair and respectful way of treating our children. So we're glad to see you here. And thank you, Ranking Member Scott, and certainly his partner in this, Chairman. But let me just do some provocative things, because you've been in this room, and I think you should know that we have a headline again: multiple people shot in San Bernardino. Authorities report active shooter. We don't have the details of it, but it is ongoing as we speak. Someone would argue the question of poverty, but I think what I want to mention with this is that we are living in a nation with an enormity of social ills, and we in the Congress, if I might say, are attempting to do this in a way that has been fractured, meaning that we fight for the Get Out of Poverty Caucus. We fight to get legislation that we think will be able to draw bipartisan support. But in actuality, you know, we need a new deal. We need a Marshall Plan. We need to go rushing into the crises that are in this country. Poverty is certainly one of them. We don't know if they're going to say this gentleman or this person is suffering from mental health needs, but we do know that we have crises that need to be addressed. So let me thank Diana Fishbein, C. Eugene Bennett, Chair of the Prevention Research at the Penn State University and Director of NPSC, Dr. J. Lawrence Abner. I know these folk have already spoken, and Diana, it's good to have you leading, Dr. Anthony Bigland and Dr. David Oles, for coming on the campus. My privilege to have you here. And let us now be joined at the hip. You with your research, us with the energy and heart and legislative proclivity and talent to be able to write legislation. And let us, as Barbara has often said, let's go big. Let's go bigger in 2016. Our bills are great bills. They are great bills. But we might be able to add other pieces and actually stand in the sunlight and say, we're not ashamed to talk about poverty. I am now the ranking member on the Crime, Terrorism, Homeland Security Committee, and so I'm going to try to be brief and focus on our youth and use an article, I don't have any shame, op-ed to reduce youth crime focus on poverty, Randall C. Sheldon. Let me just tell you what he says. He's been to a lot of forums, and I might say that many of us have, and we've heard things that brain development should play a bigger role in determined treatment of juvenile offenders. Then we've had other op-eds, I won't call their names, and they said too many kids are starting to use alcohol and drugs, addictions are soaring and lives are being destroyed. All of this attributing to why juveniles are in the criminal justice system. And then a brilliant man who's, I guess I'll cite his name, Judge Stephen Teskey, has carried out these ideas by writing that teenage crime is mainly a feature of their innate stupidity and that local private collaborations are a solution. I'm sure he meant to be more positive than that. But what strikes me, which makes me think that the person who wrote this, Mr. Sheldon, has got it. He says, more than 100 years of social science research has confirmed, without any doubt, that the major factor influencing delinquency has been poverty. has been poverty. What did I say? Like to be in a class, like I'm singing. A refrain, has been what? Has been poverty. Indeed, starting around the 1900s, sociologists at the University of Chicago began collecting large amounts of data, and that's what I wanted to say. We too in the Congress believe in data. We've been fighting to make sure that Director Coney got his words correct. It looked like he said something different. Now he's corrected it. He believes in data, the FBI. You can't do anything without science and data. Found that the highest rates of delinquency occur within the most impoverished portions of the city. Within these areas existed highest rates of other social problems, single-parent families, unemployment, low income, low levels of education, among other problems. I cite in this 23% of all children under 18 live in poverty. For blacks, it's 40%. 31% of parents without secure employment among blacks, 49%. 19% do not graduate from high school on time. Among blacks, 32%. 35% live in single-parent families. For blacks, it's 67%. And 13% live in high poverty areas, 30%. We did not include Hispanics. They fall in that, in the immigrant population. Again, we need that. To be able to understand how gangs are taking over, you've got to understand poverty. It's not just me looking at Michael Jordan's, I guess that's not the in crowd, whoever it is, shoes, and knocking my fellow teenager in the hand or somebody else. It's poverty. It's poverty that focuses and puts you in a certain area. Addressing the multiple issues that impact youth behavior is a primary purpose of the juvenile justice system, and these issues are nearly always related to poverty. And so, in order to have a breaking of the cycle, the legislation that Barbara has spoken about, grabbing poverty by the hands, neck, and dragging it from out of the society of this country, doing what LBJ did 50 years ago in the conversation of the Great Society, which over the years people have made light of. But go back and look at Head Start. Every child should be guaranteed a seat somewhere in pre-K, and it should be free. That is the beginning of getting children to develop this way instead of in the juvenile justice system, which they can start at age 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And in our juvenile justice system, even though some states have made some progress, it is only a reconfirming that you are going to be a criminal. It is not a rehabilitative system. It is, you are poor. You are from a poor neighborhood. We're going to treat you poorly, and you're a criminal. And at 9 years old, this is what's happening. And so I'm trying to partnership with Barbara's leadership on the HHS, among other committees, which is the Appropriations Committee, and then her work, when I say her, and the others that we have gathered around. Mr. Scott is a ranking member on the Education Committee, to do what I think you're asking us, to use science, but to be able to pointedly talk about what we have brought, because we have not used our scientific and compassionate viewpoint to stop the cycle. In an article, My Brother's Keeper, The Vital Role of Prevention Science, I like this because I've been saying that statistics are the science of criminal justice reform. Statistics are also the science of getting us out of poverty, because maybe that will convince the naysayers who have, in this article, said they were stupid, said it was because their brain, and many of us know there's been a lot of work on the 0 to 3, and I promote that. I think you should understand the 0 to 3, but here saying was their brain, and somebody else has said they're on drugs. And I think we all know that in spite of meth and some other things, drug use has gone down. So all those excuses, it's poverty. It's poverty. This article says, economist Ted Miller estimated the cost of the most common problems for all youth, such as violence, drug abuse, high sexual behavior, poor academic achievement, high school dropouts, and suicide, cost about, anybody want to guess the number? I like, I want to be a teacher, but anyhow, I miss my calling, or they miss me, or something. Anybody want to guess that number? Let me read it to you again, and I'll be going to my seat. For all youth, the most common problem for all youth: violence, drug abuse, high-risk sexual behavior, poor academic achievement, high school dropouts. Anybody got a number?
$500 billion.
Okay, he's too smart. $462 billion annually. Wow. Here's the money she wants. Here's the money I want. Here's the money you want to put a comprehensive, modern-day Great Society that raises the question. A successful effort will require the systematic application of well-established evidence-based principles and practices generated by the prevention sciences. These lessons are learned are applicable to all populations at risk for poor outcomes. However, given the focus of this initiative, we attest that should be followed by for this effort as well to improve chances for success, in particular for men of color. And it goes on to talk about the science of the reduction of juvenile crime, but it is also the reduction of poverty. What I want to say is that we have the tools. We need the commitment and the passion and the research and the elbow grease and the foot kicking. Because right now as we speak, many of you know that we're fighting for an omnibus appropriations bill, and no one's focusing on poverty. They're focusing on taking and holding back and, if I might, Planned Parenthood and other issues other than the giant issue of how do we make the collective country better. And I would offer to say that I offer a number of, my city alone has 8.9% of Houstonians have an income below 50%. We actually have 23% poverty in the city of Houston. We have a mayor's race. One candidate says, I'm concerned about income equality. One candidate gets up proudly and says, if you want to be worried about income equality, I'm not your man. Support that guy over there. I want to be back to basics and get the potholes done. Well, the people go over the potholes, or may be able to work on the potholes, or pay the taxes so the potholes can be finished. You need them to be productive citizens. And you need to be concerned about income equality, which is what we talk about. She's mentioned the bill, the pathway bill, but I just want to finish on bills. I'm committed to overhauling this juvenile justice system. Some states have done it, but there's one thing about, and there are bills that have been offered by my colleagues who've been on the Judiciary Committee for a number of years and those who are there, but there's one thing about the federal government. Same thing with poverty. We speak, so goes states and communities and cities. Obviously, we began speaking about the minimum wage, but let me salute my cities and states outside of Washington. They ran away with it because we're still struggling. But voices were heard from Washington, but people were acting. I believe we can overhaul the juvenile justice system. Those states who have not come into reality will not continue to blame that kid for their poverty and their condition. So we have bills that will eliminate solitary confinement based upon Caliph in New York and Rikers Island, that everybody's heard his story. 2 years without being charged for a stolen backpack of a person who was out of the country when the backpack was stolen. I don't know how he was able to steal it. He maintained his innocence. He finally got out. They didn't know he was there. He finally got out. When I say that, he really did, because the public defender didn't know he was there, just was there. His poor mother just go over and visit him, no lawyers. Finally got out. Within a couple of months, killed himself. Alternative sentencing. Kids don't necessarily need to be in detention in a jail. Give them house arrest. Give them something else besides saying you're going downtown. And as you well know, with the new school laws, everybody goes downtown now. Nobody goes to the principal's office. The police are on campus, you're downtown, you're juvenile. And you may come from a single family, single parent family, all kinds of conditions. And then, if you get yourself back on track, why do you have to write on your college application, I was arrested in the juvenile detention center? So kids need to ban the box. Like the little kid that was 7 or 8 or 9 and acted out in class and went down to the detention center. So I love science. I served for at least 10 years on the science committee. I think that science shuts people up. Research allows you to say, well, have you seen this? And I think it can be very helpful to us as we partnership to get America where she needs to be. We're ready to join you for the big plan that deals with reality and not with people's imagination. Or those people are drug addicts, they have a teenage mother, when we really know that it's poverty and poverty is fixable. So thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to share with you Let us partnership for a greater good.